Swindoll, personal injury and products liability attorney serving Arkansas since 1977.
Mitchell Funeral Home welcomes all of Arkadelphia and Arkansas to connect with a family-owned and operated service provider in Clark County since 1966. At Mitchell Funeral Home, they understand that the funeral is a celebration of life and legacy, so the entire staff takes great pride in the caring, personal, and professional services they provide. Cremation, funeral planning, burial policy, life insurance, notary, and monument sales are just a few of the services they offer. Flexible packages are available as well. Mitchell Funeral Home appreciates the trust and confidence placed in them and will continue to enhance their services so as to serve you better. Call now and connect at 870-246-2611. That's 870-246-2611. Call, click, or come by. MitchellFuneralServices.com. Don't wait till we're needed. Let's walk through this today. 870-246-2611. It's quality you can appreciate and service you can depend on at Mitchell Funeral Home.
Fill your home for the holidays with Bedrock Mattress and More. Bundle and save for your home. Package deals just in time for the holidays. Our first bundle starting at $5.98. Perfect for a dorm room. Bundle deal 2, only $15.99. Enough to fill your first apartment. And fill your home with our third bundle starting at only $24.99. Come get these deals while they last. Special pricing going on now through the end of the year. Celebrate this holiday season with something new from Bedrock Mattress and More. 3901 South University in Little Rock.
Hi, this is Alvin from Habibi's 4317 East Broadway in North Little Rock. We still have the green top at your very next stop. The same great service, but more light. Give us a call, 501-663-1553 or 664-2992, or call our toll-free number, 1-877-HABIBI-1. Diapers, pull-ups, hospital beds, wheelchairs, Simply Fit, diabetic supplies, underpads, and more. Your durable medical supply center.
Hey friends, Father's Day is right around the corner, and Coleman's Dynamic Products is offering a dynamic gift just for Dad. Pick 6 for Dad. Any 6 items in my product line. Coleman's Dynamic Rib Rub, Dust, Juice, Nuts, Batter, and you name it, all for only $29.95 plus shipping and handling. Upgrade to Pick 10 for only $39.95. Pick 6 for Dad. You must call 615
Alright, what's going on here with the live?
568 to get this dynamic Father's Day special. Dad and you will be glad you did. Each purchase receives a Coleman's Dynamic downloadable cookbook. We want to say Happy Father's Day for all the great fathers out there. And while you enjoy your day, don't forget to bake it, grill it, smoke it, oh yeah, with Coleman's Dynamic product. Pick 6 or pick 10. You must call 615-554-0568 to get this dynamic Father's Day special.
The views and opinions expressed today on Black Focus Radio are not the views and opinions of the station, its management, or its advertisers. Now, let's get ready to focus on our issues, our solutions, using our voices on Black Focus Radio.
All right, man. Y'all have a good day.
Black Focus, the show designed with our community in mind, where we focus on our issues, developing our solutions, using our voices. Central Arkansas, surrounding areas, and the nation. Get ready. Black Focus starts right now. Phone lines open at 855-525-5683. So here's your host, David W. Coleman and Robert Webb.
Oh, what's happening? What's happening? Welcome to the show. It's Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices. 855-525-5683 is the number. That's how you get in touch with us. Hey, I don't know what's going on with the live feed, but I just posted the YouTube feed. I'm sitting here and it's saying still trying to start. I don't know. I could be being censored by Facebook. Facebook is going to, they've been blocking a lot of black pictures of, the old hangings and lynchings and stuff like that, from what I understand. So, it's kind of ironic. The owner of Facebook is Jewish, and quite often Jewish people, they hold on to their, what should you call it, their history and their culture and what was done to them. But here it is, a Jewish owner of a Jewish medium wants to block black people from holding on to theirs. But then, too, Israel is abusing Africans today as well. Anyway, 855-525-5683 is the number. That's how you get in touch with me. We got a big show for you today. I appreciate you joining me. As we say, it's our issues, our solutions, our voices. And it is important for us and for people to understand that. You know, the best way to get things done is expose them in the media. And I guess that's what I've been trying to get across to black current lawmakers and preachers and those old style leaders. Your ploy of negotiation and things of that nature and kill them with kindness, you know, that doesn't work for a person, an enemy that is sworn to destroy you. You know what I'm saying? And when you look at the history of what's going on in this country, I hate to say it, but man, if they're not our enemy, they certainly have enemy tactics. They certainly do enemy things. I'm just saying. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into our Black Fact for today, and then we got a big show because we're going to follow up on what I was just talking about here on JoyNetRadio.com.
Dynamic Black Facts. Our culture, our history, our people.
Well, we got a dynamic black. We're going to have two, basically. One is about Juneteenth, and the other one is about a gentleman by the name of John Hanson. Okay? Now, what I want to do here, and I'm not going to read, well, I'll tell you what. We're going to do this. Let's save the Juneteenth until tomorrow. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll save the Juneteenth till tomorrow. I want to read about a black man, a Moor. His name was John Hanson. Okay. Now I want to thank Rizal Aaron and the Power of Justice for reminding me of this, because I knew this. I've seen John Hanson's picture multiple times, and it's interesting when you hear this story. By the way, you can see John Hanson on the back of the $2 bill. A black man. Was the first president of the United States, 1781 to 1782. George Washington was really the 8th president of the United States. Now, let me start that over. A black man, a Moor, John Hanson, was the first president of the United States, 1781 to 1782. George Washington was really the 8th president of the United States. George Washington was not the first president of the United States. In fact, the first president of the United States was one John Hanson. Don't go checking the encyclopedia for this guy's name. He is one of those great men that are lost to history. If you're extremely lucky, you may actually find a brief mention of his name. The new country was actually formed on March 1st, 1781, with the adoption of the Articles of Confederation. This document was actually proposed on June 11th, 1776, but not agreed upon by Congress until November 15, 1777. Maryland refused to sign the document until Virginia and New York ceded their western lands. Maryland was afraid that these states would gain too much power in the new government from such large amounts of land. Once the signing took place in 1781, a president was needed to run the country. John Hanson was chosen unanimously by the Congress, which included George Washington. In fact, all the other potential candidates refused to run against him, as he was a major player in the Revolution and an extremely influential member of Congress. As the first president, John Hanson had quite the shoes to fill. No one had ever been president, and the role was poorly defined. His actions in office would set precedent for all future presidents. He took office just as the Revolutionary War ended. Almost immediately, the troops demanded to be paid. As would be expected after any long war, there were no funds to meet the salaries. As a result, the soldiers threatened to overthrow the new government and put Washington on the throne as a monarch. All the members of Congress ran for their lives, leaving Hanson as the only guy left running the government. He somehow managed to calm the troops down and hold the country together. If he had failed, the government would have fallen almost immediately, and everyone would have been bowing to King Washington. In fact, Hanson sent 800 pounds of sterling silver to his brother, Samuel Hanson, to George Washington to provide the troops with shoes. Hanson, as president, ordered all foreign troops off American soil, as well as the removal of all foreign flags. This was quite the feat, considering the fact that so many European countries had a stake in the United States since the days following Columbus. Hanson established the Great Seal of the United States, which all presidents have since been required to use on all official documents. President Hanson also established the first Treasury Department, the first Secretary of War, and the first Foreign Affairs Department. Lastly, he declared that the fourth Thursday of every November was to be Thanksgiving, which is still true today. The Articles of Confederation only allowed a president to serve one term during any 3-year period, so Hanson actually accomplished quite a bit in such a little time. 6 other presidents elected before him: Elias Boudinot, Thomas Mifflin, Richard Henry Lee, Nathan Gorman, Arthur St. Clair, Cyrus Griffin, all prior to Washington taking office. So what happened? Why don't we ever hear about the first 7 presidents of the United States? It's quite simple. The Articles of Confederation didn't work well. The individual states had too much power and nothing could be agreed upon. A new doctrine was needed to be written, something we know today as the Constitution. And that leads us to the end of the story. George Washington was definitely not the first president of the United States. He was the first president of the United States under the Constitution we follow today. And the first 7 presidents are now forgotten history. And that's our Black Fact for today.
Keep listening to Black Focus Radio for more dynamic Black facts, our culture, our history, our people, on TrainAirRadio.com.
And again, I want to thank Rizal Aaron. You know, I produce his show, and he had the question. The NAACP in North Little Rock during their Juneteenth celebration are going to be giving out $2 bills to any young person who joins the NAACP. And the significance of that is the fact that John Hanson, actually the first president of the United States, under the Articles of Confederation, is on the back of that $2 bill. So if you've got a $2 bill now, here's an opportunity to teach your child a little history. Don't you just love Black facts? If you don't have a $2 bill, the next time you go to your credit union or bank, ask them for a $2 bill. And then flip it over and show your children. Because, see, we live so long that, hey, we'll never have a black president. Yeah, we already had one. His name was John Hanson. And if you really want to go further, John Hanson was a Moor. That's M-O-O-R. Do a little bit more research and research the Moors of history. We've talked about them a little bit on this show. Because guess what? you just might very well be a descendant of the Moors. Man, I just love a great Black history fact. Man, thanks again, Rizal, for reminding me of that. I really appreciate that, okay? I was going to do June 10th today, but I'm going to save that to tomorrow. I want to remind people that there are Juneteenth celebrations going on all across the state and parts of the state. I'm pretty sure Harrison, Arkansas is not celebrating Juneteenth. I'm pretty sure Berryville, Arkansas is not celebrating Juneteenth. No, I'm not going to say I'm pretty sure, but I doubt if they are. Okay? But if you are celebrating Juneteenth, plenty of activities going on this weekend. Also, I want to shout out, before I do that, I want to remind people that I'm going to be at Juneteenth in Little Rock down at the Mosaic Templar selling Coleman's Dynamic Products. All right, so y'all come on out. I will have the Pick 6 and the Pick 10. You have an opportunity to pick one or the other. $29.95 for 6, $39.95 for 10. It comes in a decorative box, and you can do your thing for pops. Okay, or you can buy 2 of each and get 6. I'll still give you the Pick 6. Okay, and give you the box, and you can add some other stuff to it. But I only have 10 of those boxes. So if you're going to come to Juneteenth, and if you're coming with the intention of doing a Pick 6, then make sure that you're there on time. I will be there. I think the festivities start at 12. I'll be there. Okay? Hope to see you. All right, 855-525-5683 is the number. That's how you get in touch with us, okay? Okay, that's our Black fact for today. Now, what I promised to do, and I just thought that Black fact was just so great, I couldn't change it. But I usually, at least this week, I've been talking a lot about reparations. In fact, for the last 2 or 3 months, well, actually, if you talk to me, I've been talking about reparations for a long time, but, that's just in my small circle. But if you have listened to the show, you'll know that I've been on this reparations thing. This is not some fairy tale. This is not some fable that is out there in the netherworld that only crazy people talk about. This is not some tinfoil hat conspiracy. Reparations is real. And if you heard me say that if your elected official doesn't have a stand on reparations, a plan, then you don't need to be in that organization. I would even argue that any organization that touts blackness, whether it's the NAACP, the Urban League, it doesn't matter. If you are a black organization and you're not talking about reparations, you're not talking about joining in potentially on a class action lawsuit or on the convergence of when it happens or how it should happen, then I can't deal with you as an organization. All right. Now, why am I bringing this up? Because, see, apparently there are quite a few other people that believe in what I believe in. This is something that is long overdue. This is something that should have been done a long time ago. And not only should we get reparations, black people deserve an official apology. Let me say that again. Black people deserve an official apology. Okay? Don't care if you're mad. Don't care if you don't agree with me. But facts are facts. And apparently, there are a whole lot of other people believe just what I said. Because did you know next week on Wednesday in Washington, D.C., for the first time in some time, I want to say since 1992, the House is having a hearing on reparations for slavery. Let me just read this for you, because this is huge. We shouldn't just be having hearings. This needs to be done. Where is my check? All of the stories that I've been reading to you up until today have given you reason why reparations are in order. As a matter of fact, part of the reason that I was going to do the Juneteenth is, in fact, when you look at Juneteenth and why it's celebrated, that is the epitome of why reparations should be given. Oh, man. There were people in this country, black people in this country, they didn't know that the Emancipation Proclamation had even took place until 2 years after the fact. And especially in parts of Texas, where many people believe that Union soldiers, not Confederate soldiers, even after the president issued the proclamation, Union soldiers refused to pass the word because they wanted to help white farmers get the next crop out. Hello. Again. Let me say it again. Reparations is not a fantasy. It's not something you talk about over dinner with your cousin and your homeboys who are woke. You need to be talking about this to your preachers, to your teachers, any of your white friends. There is no justification for this. Under the Obama administration, do yourself a favor and Google how much money did Obama set aside for Jewish descendants or Jewish people who were victims of the Holocaust. And the United States had nothing to do with the Holocaust. In fact, the United States liberated the Jews, along with black soldiers who were treated like second-class citizens in Europe by the United States. And then when they came home, they were treated like second-class citizens. 1945 was when the war ended. And from 1945, well, let me just go back. 2019, when World War I ended, black soldiers, remember, they also fought in that war and were treated like second-class citizens. Right here in Arkansas alone, black soldiers were massacred. If you heard many of these black facts that I've talked about over the last 4 years that I've been on this air, you will understand something more than anything. That there were more black people who died defending their land because white terrorists tried to take it. Don't give me this mess about, oh, well, we don't want to talk about reparations. Don't give me this mess, well, it's been so long, what would we do? While you all still live on this land that you stole from black people. While you all have made billions of dollars off of this land that you stole from black people. And that same land, some of it, black people worked free of charge. So you could become millionaires, so that you could pass your money down to your descendants. So now today they live like fat rats. They enjoy white privilege. I don't want to hear this stuff about, no, we don't believe in reparations. And although I may never get them, I'm going to talk about them until I'm dead. And then I'm going to come back and hunt you all. Because in your minds, you're going to say, that David Coleman, I know one thing he believed in. He believed in reparations. So when you ask me, do you believe in Allah? I'm going to say, no, I believe in reparations. When you believe in God? Well, no, I believe in reparations. Do you believe in Buddha? No, I believe in reparations. Holler at me after you get me my check. The topic of reparations for slavery is headed to Capitol Hill for its first hearing in more than a decade, with writer Ta-Nehisi Coates and actor Danny Glover set to testify before a House panel. The Subcommittee on the Constitution, Civil Rights, and Civil Liberties is scheduled to hold next Wednesday its stated purpose to examine through open and constructive discourse the legacy of the transatlantic slave trade, its continuing impact on the community, and the path to restorative justice. Former Democrat Representative John Conyers, the longtime sponsor of the House Resolution 40, first proposed the measure calling for a study on reparations in 1989. Conyers reintroduced the bill every session until his resignation in 2017. Democratic Representative Sheila Jackson Lee, the resolution's new sponsor, introduced it earlier this year and pushed for next week's hearing. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said in February that she supports a reparations study, a topic that hasn't been the subject of the House hearing since 2007. Reparations has been a fringe issue, an occasional punchline until Coates' 2014 essay in The Atlantic, The Case for Reparations. And if you have not seen that, it is fantastic. In fact, I'm going to go back and read it again. I'm sorry for, let's see. All right, there it goes. I don't know what was going on with the live. I finally got live up so y'all can join me, okay? Reparations has been a fringe issue and occasional punchline until Coates' 2014 essay in The Atlantic, The Case for Reparations, thrust the topic back into the national discourse. Glover, an activist, as well as the star of Lethal Weapon movies and the classic The Color Purple and A Rage in Harlem, has spoken in favor of the issue for years. And I love Danny Glover for that fact. In an interview with Coates, as he prepared to leave office, President Barack Obama questioned the implementation of reparations, but not the concept. Now listen to this. Let me repeat that for you all. And I'm sorry, we tried to get on and something was going on with the live, but we're up now. We're talking about the upcoming hearing that's going to take place. Well, I told y'all you can always go out. Don't get mad at me, Miss Jackie, Miss Classmate. You know, I'll beat you up at the class reunion this weekend. Go Tigers, baby. But no, you can always go out to, I posted the feed from YouTube, and you can always download the app. But I do humbly apologize for being, I was trying to get the feed up. It was just sitting here twirling. It wasn't my fault. Okay. But we're talking about reparations right now and the hearing that's going to take place Wednesday in Washington, D.C. But what's fascinating me about this article is the fact that here is we had a president, Barack Obama, and he questioned the implementation of reparations instead of getting on board and saying, hey, let's fix this. See, this is why I'm upset with Barack. I love me some Barack Obama. Okay? Let me finish the article and then I'll get on this. In an interview with Coates as he prepared to leave office, President Barack Obama questioned the implementation of reparations, but not the concept. And in a conversation Coates had earlier this year with Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the popular progressive endorsed reparations. As a matter of fact, you have no choice. The reparations debate became part of the 2020 presidential race early as several Democratic presidential primary candidates signaled their support for compensating the descendants of slaves, though not in the traditional sense of direct payouts to Black Americans. Most have been vague on more specific ideas, but they have instead offered policy addressing economic inequality that could disproportionately benefit Black people. Okay? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Jackie. I apologize. I love me some Tigers. So here's the bottom line. And let me go back to Barack Obama for a moment. If there was any other time in the history of the United States, that was the time for President Barack Obama. And I'm going to tell you, this is why I'm upset with Barack. I've said over and over again that Barack Obama did nothing for the black community. Don't give me this mess about the economy. Don't give me this mess about unemployment. Every president that has ever been in office has directly passed policies that affected his particular and majority constituencies. Every president, go back in history. But for some reason or another, Barack Obama felt that he wanted to play down the road, the middle of the road. And he basically ignored specific things that he could have done to assist the black community. That's a fact. Don't get mad at me. That's a fact. You just heard what I said. Ta-Nehisi Coates, who is going to be testifying at the hearing next week, specifically talked to Barack Obama, and he questioned the implementation. In other words, I am going to cover that here in just a moment, LaTanya. Will y'all let me do my show, please? It's not in the Facebook teas, but it's in the other teas, okay? But Ta-Nehisi Coates directly addressed Barack Obama on this. And here's what Barack said. He said he's concerned about the implementation of reparations. Hello? Well, the first thing you could have done, Barack Obama, is I'm officially apologizing to descendants of Africa for slavery. That's the first thing you could have done. You didn't do it. You never even broached the subject, Barack. Hello? You could have issued an executive order. All the executive orders you issued, and you issued a lot of them, you could have issued an executive order officially apologizing from the United States to descendants of African Americans for slavery. But you didn't. You didn't. Now, quickly, the other thing is that these candidates who want to pass economic policies that will help the black community, how many times have I heard y'all passing economic policies that benefit the black community? Hell, if I had a dime for every time a white politician said that they were going to pass policies that is going to benefit the black community, hell, I could buy this country. Where do you want me to start? We don't want an economic policy that can be pilfered by white business owners who have the infrastructure to set up these organizations. We want specifics. I'll tell you what I take. Just for me personally, I want a business loan so I can launch my business to the stratosphere. I need $100,000. Okay? Now, notice, I didn't ask for $100,000 to go in my pocket. I want a $100,000 business loan so I can start my business and run my business the way it needs to be ran, and I can then take that $100,000 investment, interest-free, by the way, and then turn it around and hire some black kids. That's what I want as my reparations. I don't want, now if you want to cut the brother the check, cut me a check. But I want business loans. I'm just saying. So, just so you know, next Wednesday, keep your ears peeled, as we used to say back in the day, for the hearing in Washington, D.C. on reparations. This is just a beginning step. Don't get your hopes up. Don't start going down to the casino spending money you don't have. Don't start buying lottery tickets. Don't start taking on extra side pieces. Latonya says, cut me a check. I hear you. But I'm just saying, think about it. Some people, see, it should not be just simply certain people to determine how, if in fact, let's say we get reparations. It should not be certain people that say how we get reparations. I'm simply saying all you have to do is look. There should be categories. Me as a business owner, if I had $100,000, see, part of my problem with my product is that I need to be able to go to grocery fairs, okay? Consumer fairs. This is where you go and grocery stores come in and you test your product. You present the product and the buyers test your product and they decide whether or not they're going to buy it and put it in their stores. Well, to go to one of those events, just to be part of the event and be on the floor is anywhere from $5,000 to $8,000. Just to be on the floor. That doesn't include room and board. That doesn't include logistical things that have to take place. So if I could get to one of those fairs, I know I could get my product on the shelf. So I want business money. You can give me a small interest loan. Now, no, let me take that back. You can give me a non-interest bearing loan, and I want it drawn from a black bank. Hello? So that way, when I pay that loan back and my company blows up, I can make sure that black bank benefits as well and its employees. That's what I want. Okay? 855-525-5683 is the number. Want to shout out to all the Little Rock Central Tigers, class of 79 that's coming to town this weekend for the 40th class reunion. Can't believe been out of school for 40 years. It seems like it was just yesterday. It seems like it was just yesterday that I was running up and down that football field, tackling and destroying my body. 40 years ago, don't let me get started on that. Had some fun, had a lot of great classmates. So we're looking forward to all who are going to attend the reunion this weekend. All right, so Latonya set it up. I tell you what, let's take a break. When we come back, I'm going to get hot and heavy into this Memphis thing. Okay? Because we need to talk about this. And the reason we need to talk about it is because I fear that more of this is going to happen. And the reason I fear that is because it's pretty clear that public officials aren't listening. Public officials are not listening. We'll be back in a moment. You're listening to Black Focus Radio on JoyNetRadio.com.
Is offering a dynamic gift.
No, but I'm sorry, I tried to get on, but I don't know why it wouldn't let me log on with my live. But we are going to talk about this Memphis thing coming up here in just a moment. Okay?
Plus shipping and handling. Upgrade to Pick 10 for only $39.95. Pick 6 for Dad. You must call 615-554-0568 to get this dynamic Father's Day special. Dad and you will be glad you did. Each purchase receives a Coleman's Dynamic downloadable cookbook. We want to say Happy Father's Day for all the great fathers out there. And while you enjoy your day, don't forget to bake it good, smoke it, oh yeah, with Coleman's Dynamic product. Pick 6 or Pick 10. You must call 615-554-0568 to get this dynamic Father's Day special.
This is attorney Danielle Walker.
Latonya, what did you just send me? Who is this in front of this yellow Mustang?
Are you struggling to?
Is this the young man that was killed?
It may be time to consider bankruptcy options. Call me at 501-374-1448 and let me provide you with the professional legal guidance and help protect you from foreclosure, harassing bill collectors, repossession, wage garnishments, and more. I have a proven record of serving clients just like you for over 20 years. I'm conveniently located downtown Little Rock at 323 Center Street, Suite 1020. Call today for a free, no-obligation consultation at 501-374-1448, 501-374-1448, 501-374-1448. This is attorney Danielle Walker from the Walker Law Firm, and let me help you.
Mitchell Funeral Home welcomes all of Arkadelphia and Arkansas in Clark County since 1966. At Mitchell Funeral Home, they understand that the funeral is a celebration of life and legacy, so the entire staff takes great pride in the caring, personal, and professional services they provide. Cremations, funeral planning, burial policy, life insurance, notary, and monument sales are just a few of the services they offer. Flexible packages are available as well. Mitchell Funeral Home appreciates the trust and confidence placed in them and will continue to enhance their services so as to serve you better. Call now. Get connected. 870-246-2611. That's 870-246-2611. Call, click, or come by. MitchellFuneralServices.com. Don't wait till we're needed. Call us now. Let's walk through this together. 870-246-2611. It's quality you can appreciate and service you can depend on at Mitchell Funeral Home.
Fill your home for the holidays with Bedrock Mattress and More. Bundle and save for every room in your home. Package deals just in time for the holidays. Our first bundle starting at $5.98. Perfect for a dorm room. Bundle deal 2, only $15.99. Enough to fill your first apartment. And fill your home with our third bundle starting at only $24.99. Come get these deals while they last. Special pricing going on now through the end of the year. Celebrate this holiday season with something new from Bedrock Mattress and More. 3901 South University in Little Rock.
Hi, I'm attorney Theodore Thompson from the Thompson Law Firm, and I want to help with your legal matters. Whether it's criminal defense, bankruptcy, personal injury, or family law, I want to help you. I can be reached at 501-503-5095. Don't face your legal issues alone. You need an attorney whose primary objective is to provide you with the best legal representation. Our office address is 415 North McKinley, Suite 710 in Little Rock. I'm attorney Theodore Thompson, and I want to provide you with the best legal representation.
All right, welcome back to the show. Got a lot of people listening to the show, of course. Shout out to the Mighty Tigers, the Little Rock Central Tigers, of course, the class of 1979 that are in town, or that are on the way to town, that are already here living, planning for the class reunion that's going to take place this weekend out at the Embassy Suites. No doubt we were the greatest class to ever come out of Little Rock Central. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Hail to the old gold, baby. Hail to the black. Hail alma mater, nor does she lack. We love no other, so let our motto be victory. Little Rock Central High. All right, so now let's talk a little bit about what happened in Memphis last night. Okay. Do y'all mind? Did y'all hear what was happening? The Memphis neighborhood where Brandon Weber was shot has seen economic and demographic shifts. You all know last night a riot took place in Memphis overnight, right? 25 police officers were injured. 6 of them had to go to the hospital. And this all came because some U.S. Marshals apparently was looking for Brandon Weber. He's 20 years old. He was shot and killed late Wednesday evening in his mama's front yard, in his family's front yard. Okay? Now, according to reports, somehow or another, with U.S. Marshals being there, and I didn't see any details, somehow or another, Brandon ended up in the vehicle, a vehicle. And I went through a couple of stories. I don't know if they confronted him, and I guess we'll get more details as we go further. But I don't know if they confronted him while he was still in a vehicle or what. But I'm going to read you a little bit from the CNN story and see and see if we get any more details. This is the latest from CNN. The turmoil came, well, let me start over. What started as a protest over the death of a Memphis man developed into chaos Wednesday night after demonstrators threw bricks at police and vandalized squad cars. At least 24 officers and deputies, we know it's 25, were injured in the melee. Memphis Mayor Jim Strickland said Thursday morning 6 of them were taken to the hospital. The turmoil came after U.S. Marshals shot and killed a man Wednesday night in the North Memphis neighborhood of Frazier, which I'm familiar with. In fact, lived in Frazier for a while I lived in Memphis. In fact, I lived in Memphis for 15 years, so I'm very familiar with this area. Marshals were trying to stop the man, who they wanted on multiple warrants, outside a home as the man was getting into his vehicle. Okay, that explains that, according to the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. The man reportedly rammed his vehicle into the officers' vehicles multiple times before exiting with a weapon. The officers fired, striking, killing the individual. No officers were injured. Shelby County Commissioner Tammy Sawyer identified the slain man as Brandon Weber. Sawyer tweeted that she went to the Frazier neighborhood because this is my district. I went because I stand with my people. People are hurting. Don't judge Frazier without asking a community how it feels to mourn their youth over and over again. News of Weber's death spread quickly as protesters hurled rocks at police, tore down a concrete wall outside a business, and smashed the windows of squad cars and a fire station. In addition to 24 wounded officers, 2 journalists were also injured, the mayor said. Let me be clear, the aggression shown toward our officers and deputies tonight was unwarranted. That's according to the mayor. But he lauded the composure of the officers as they became the targets of the attack. I was proud of the first responders, the mayor said. I'm impressed by their professionalism and incredible restraint as they endured concrete rocks being thrown at them and people spitting at them. I have mixed emotions about this. I know that Frazier community. I know North Memphis. I know how North Memphis and South Memphis is looked on as the red-headed stepchild as East Memphis grows and prospers. I know the pain and suffering that those people have went through. I have friends who lived in both parts of those cities. But before you judge these people for attacking the police, you need to understand their story. Oh, you've heard their stories. Their story is the same as Trayvon Martin, Philando Castile. You just pick one. Pick one of the many. Sandra Blair. Just pick one. It doesn't matter who you choose. You know their story. You know why those people were angry. You know why they were angry. You know why they were breaking those windows. You know why they were throwing rocks at police. Don't you? You just don't want to admit it. You just don't want to accept it. Because what we saw in Memphis, what we're seeing in Memphis, is a culmination of what we've seen in this country for the last 20 years or more. In fact, one of the black facts I thought about doing is doing the 5 who were convicted in Florida, not the Central Park 5, on false charges. But we have black men and women who are being killed by police. Police are being judge, juries, and executioners. And I'm going to tell you, black folks are fed up. You don't believe it. Because, see, here's what you think. Here's what many white people think. Is that all those niggas are gonna do is march and sing, "We shall overcome." That's what y'all believe. And that's what some of you black folks believe. But I've told you, because, see, many of you all, you old heads, are not in touch with these younger kids, these millennials. They ain't going. And I'm right with them. I'm not going to accept your apology for killing my son. I'm not going to pray with you for attacking my children. That's what this is all about. Now, we certainly will get people like the mayor, and let me read again what he just said, and caller, hang on just a moment. Let me be clear. The aggression shown towards our officers and deputies tonight was unwarranted. Do me a favor. Do me a favor if you dare. Pull up the fleeing felon rule. Go pull up the fleeing felon law. Here's the irony about the fleeing felon law. That Supreme Court decision emanated from Memphis, Tennessee. Did y'all know that? The rules against fleeing felon, and let me just paraphrase it, is that, and see, here's the irony why all these police officers are getting acquitted or not even getting trials. The Supreme Court has been clear on this. You cannot shoot a fleeing felon in the back. That's why, if you notice, every one of these officers, when they do it, they'll put something in their report that says he turned, as if I thought he was going to shoot me. He turned. The rule is clear. The law is clear. Let me give you more specifics. It's Tennessee versus Garner. Go look it up. But in every one of these instances that we've seen over the years, these police are not being tried. They're not going to jail. Oh, that's right, Muhammad Noor. But you know Muhammad Noor, he was Islamic. He was a Somali immigrant. And he had black skin. And he killed a white woman. Yeah, he can go to jail. But when it's a black person being killed by a white cop, and by the way, they gave her family $20 million. And they gave Muhammad Noor 12 and a half years. But when it's a black family who is murdered, they're lucky to get $1 million. They're lucky to get $2 million. So I understand why these people in Memphis are upset. I understand because, see, North Memphis is the same area where we talked about that school where the principal had to help his children wash clothes because they couldn't afford, their parents couldn't afford money to wash clothes. Yeah, that's the same area where that school had a young lady who couldn't get to school on time because she had to stay at home and make sure her siblings got to school. Then she came to school. They wanted to suspend this young girl. This is just how deprived that area of Memphis is and has been for a long time. Hello. So I understand my brothers and sisters in Frayser. You know, Frayser is the brunt of jokes from people who live in Memphis, like Midtown and East Memphis and Cordova. Yeah, I know that city. I lived there for 15 years. And if there is not any other city on the map, Memphis is one of the most racist cities that I've ever lived in. Let me just say this, overtly racist, because Little Rock is right there with them. Race is so pronounced in Memphis that people argue about the white line on the black street. Now, I'm being facetious, but I think you get my point. Memphis has never gotten over the fact that they killed Dr. King, but they make money off of him. They make money off of his museum. They make money off of black music, although if you go down on Beale Street, very few of those businesses are owned by black people. Come on now. See, I lived in Memphis for 15 years before I moved to Nashville. I got my start in radio in Memphis, Tennessee, at WHBQ on 15th and Highland. Yeah, I know the pulse of that city. And I understand the frustration of those people in North Memphis. I understand those rocks was out of frustration. I'm not trying to apologize for them. I'm not trying to say that what they did was right. But what I do know is that black people across the spectrum, across this country, is tired of police being judge, jury, and executioner when the Constitution of the United States says you don't have the right to do it. And the Supreme Court in 1985 came out and said the very same thing. Yet you persist. You can only slap me a couple of times. I only have two cheeks. You tell me, turn the other cheek. Well, you slap me on one, and I turn the other cheek, and you slap me on another. Now what you want me to do? Turn around and let you kick my ass? I understand this frustration. And I promise you, it's going to get worse. It's going to happen again. Black people are tired of police killing unarmed black people. Now, I know they say he was armed, but how many times have we seen white people arrested who are armed? Let me say that again. How many times have we seen white people arrested and they were armed? How many times have we seen white males arrested because they just shot up a school? They just shot up a black church. And they take them to lunch. If you, my white brothers and sisters, can't see what's going on here, then whatever happens in this country happens. Y'all get that right. Whatever happens in this country happens. Because it says to me that although you want to holler about patriotism, although you want to holler about how much you love this country, you don't love everybody in this country. You are talking about your white country. You're not talking about black people in this country. Let me read a quote. Tell you what, let's take the top of the hour break. I'm tired. I'm tired. And black people are tired. Tired of being in fear of the police. Tired. Lord knows I'm tired. We'll take a break. We'll be back in a moment. You're listening to Black Focus Radio on JoyNetRadio.com.
Just for Dad. Pick 6 for Dad. Any 6 items in my product line. Coleman's Dynamic Rib Rub, dust, juice, nuts, batter, and you name it. All for only $29.95 plus shipping and handling. Upgrade to Pick 10 for only $39.95. Pick 6 for Dad. You must call 615-554-0568 to get this dynamic Father's Day special. Dad and you will be glad you did. Each purchase receives a Coleman's Dynamic downloadable cookbook. We want to say Happy Father's Day for all the great fathers out there. And while you enjoy your day, don't forget to bake it, grill it, smoke it, oh yeah, with Coleman's Dynamic product. Pick 6 or pick 10. You must call 615-554-0568 to get this dynamic Father's Day special. The law offices of James F. Swindoll provides our clients the personal care and attention that larger law firms cannot offer. Our experienced attorneys have brought hundreds of cases to verdict in state and federal court and recovered millions for our clients. If you or a loved one have been injured or have property wrongfully damaged, we may be able to help. Do not hesitate to contact our firm anytime for a free attorney consultation. Call 1-800-848-1290. That's 1-800-848-1290. Or email inquiries at arkansas-personal-injury.com. Our law offices are centrally located at 212 Center Street in Little Rock. That's the law offices of J.
Cliff, was that you that just called? Call back. I'm sorry. I was in my rant, man.
Arkansas since 1977.
Mitchell Funeral Home welcomes all of Arkadelphia and Arkansas to connect with a family-owned and operated service provider in Clark County since 1966. At Mitchell Funeral Home, they understand that the funeral is a celebration of life and legacy, so the entire staff takes great pride in the caring, personal, and professional services they provide. Cremations, funeral planning, burial policy, life insurance, notary, and monument sales are just a few of the services they offer. Flexible packages are available as well. Mitchell Funeral Home appreciates the trust and confidence placed in them and will continue to enhance their services so as to serve you better. Call now. Get connected. 870-246-2611. That's 870-246-2611. Call, click, or come by. MitchellFuneralServices.com. Don't wait till we're needed. Call us now. Let's walk through this together. 870-246-2611. It's quality you can appreciate and service you can depend on at Mitchell Funeral Home.
Fill your home for the holidays with Bedrock Mattress and More. Bundle and save for every room in your home. Package deals just in time for the holidays. Our first bundle starting at $5.98. Perfect for a dorm room. Bundle deal 2, only $15.99. Enough to fill your first apartment. And fill your home with our third bundle starting at only $24.99. Come get these deals while they last. Special pricing going on now through the end of the year. Celebrate this holiday season with something new from Bedrock Mattress and More. 3901 South University in Little Rock.
Hi, this is Alvin from Habibi's 4317 East Broadway in North Little Rock. We still have the green top at your very next stop. The same great service, but more light. Give us a call, 501-663-1553 or 664-2992, or call our toll-free number, 1-877-HABIBI-1. Diapers, pull-ups, hospital beds, wheelchairs, Simply Fit, diabetic supplies, underpads, and more. Your durable medical supply center.
All right, welcome back to the show. I'm sorry, that top of the hour break came right on time because I was about to explode there. I try not to be too emotional when I do these shows, but I'm gonna tell you, this is tough on me, man. I'm tired of hearing about black men being killed by police and white boys who do the same damn thing. They get to stand trial, but black men don't. That's the real problem. If they were killing white boys just like they killing black boys, I'd still be upset because they still violating the Constitution. I'd still be upset. There's a distinct difference that all of us can see with our own eyes. And then when people come out and they riot, they get upset, they throw rocks, people want to call them all kinds of names without understanding the frustration, the years, the decades of the police abuse that continues in our communities. What the hell's wrong with us? Let me read something to you. Cliff, I'll be with you in just a second. I apologize for keeping you on hold. I want you to think about, this is a quote. And I'm not going to tell you who made this quote until a little later. maybe you'll get it. Maybe you'll get it. Jackie, thank you. She just posted the fleeing felon law that was debated in the Supreme Court in 1985 that took place based on a case that happened in Memphis, Tennessee. So I want to know, how the hell are all these cops killing black people and they're not being subject to the rule of law? But let me read this quote to you. Do you know who said this? And I must say tonight that a riot in the language of the unheard is the language of the unheard. Let me say it again. And I must say tonight that a riot is the language of the unheard, and what is in America has failed to hear. It has failed to hear that the promises of freedom and justice have not been met. And it has failed to hear that large segments of the white society are more concerned about tranquility and the status quo than about justice and humanity. Now, you all tell me who said that. Tell me who said that. Because it is on point. And the sad thing about it, when you realize who said it, and you realize the time frame in which it was said, all you can do is bow your head as an American in shame to understand that here we are today still dealing with the very same things that caused this great man to make this quote. You're right, LaTanya. Martin Luther King. He said this in the 60s. He said this in the 60s. And here we are today still dealing with this crap. I'm tired, man. I'm 58 years old. All my life, this country has been racist. It would be nice to live in a country that wasn't overtly racist. Before I died, I would like to know that when my children have grandchildren, that my grandchildren will truly be able to live in a country that isn't a racist country. I'm just saying. 855-525-5683 is the number. That's how you get in touch with me. That's how you get in touch with me. Call me up. I want to hear what your comments are, because this has got to stop. Cliff, you're online. What's up, man?
I'm not sure whether this is an information between the story you read earlier, but the one I saw online on Instagram from Larry Detroit was that the gentleman that was killed in Memphis was handcuffed before they shot him 20 times. I think that's where, if that's accurate, then that I would assume that's where all the anger is coming from.
Well, according to the reports, I've looked at the commercial appeal. I've looked at Channel 13 and CNN, which is where I read the story. All of them say that he was in a car. They tried to apprehend him while he was trying to get in a car. And he got back in the car and he rammed their cars. He then gets out of his car and they shoot and kill him. Now, I don't know. I'm going to be honest. I don't get my news from Instagram unless I can be verified. So I can only go by what credible news sources are saying. Now, if in fact that was the case, then this is really going to be ugly. But based on what we know as of yet, is that he had a weapon, which, look, even if he had a weapon, I still argue that I know I can Google case after case after case. You tell me somebody who just shot up a school, you tell me that an officer, when they're trying to apprehend that person, they're not in fear of their life? Somebody who just shot up a Waffle House, you trying to tell me that the men who are hunting this guy is not in fear of their life? Someone who just shot up a movie theater. I could go on and on and on. A church. Are you telling me that those officers who are pursuing a murderer, someone that we know did it, you're not in fear of their life? The only difference is that that person was white. And the people that are getting killed, who are not getting due process, are black. These are public lynchings, hands down. I don't mean to be hyperbolic, but what else can you say? Look, this whole week, we've been talking about various stories where white people accuse black people of doing things. They were in jail. The jail opened up mysteriously, and white mobs were able to come in and take these people out of jail and do anything they wanted to do with them, including lynch them and set them on fire. I'm tired of this narrative, and at some point, we as black people are gonna have to start calling this what it is, and this is unabashed lynching and racism. You still there, Cliff?
I agree. Yeah, I agree. I was going to say the only reason why I mentioned the one from Instagram is because they claim to have firsthand information from witnesses that got mentally. And so that's why I was mentioning that. It's just kind of like when the Ferguson riots were happening in Baltimore. A lot of the news from the people who were there in that area that were watching the cops do this were putting it out on Twitter and Instagram and other social media apps as it was happening or after it was happening.
Yeah, you're right about that. But again, as a news source, we got to make sure that we're reporting what we know. I'm not saying it didn't happen, because certainly it could have happened. But based on what has been reported in 3 sources that I looked at this story, because I heard about this story last night. In fact, I started researching it last night. It popped up on my Facebook page. So every report from credible news sources right now has shown that, at least said that he rammed their cars and he got out shooting. Now, let me be clear with you, my brother, because you know how I am. I don't believe a damn word the police say. And that's sad at this point.
TV is usually the one that I trust more than some of the others, but even with TV, we have problems with.
But they're getting a third party anyway. Right, they're getting a third party anyway. So so they're not getting eyewitness accounts. So I agree with you on all of that. But I'm going to be honest with you. And look, if you're a police officer out there and you're listening to me and you take offense to what I just said, then you don't get mad at me, get mad at your department. Because I don't believe a damn word a police officer says at this point. We have seen too many instances of reports that were wrong. Hell, we just had an officer in Arkansas, a state trooper, to resign because he did a hit and run. And then he called, check this out. He did the hit and run, called police and said his truck had been stolen. This woman is on a street somewhere in Arkansas bleeding out. And he's at a hotel when they figure out where he is. Come on, man. I don't believe a word a police officer says right now. I'm sorry. No, I'm not sorry. Because, look, here, let me give you an analogy. So, police say that black people are prone to crime. So we got to really put the finger on them. We got to really put our feet on their neck, okay? They say that because that's based on what they've heard. Okay? And it's okay for them to believe that. In fact, I know it's okay because society over and over again, jury after jury, has allowed police to be acquitted, or prosecuting attorneys have allowed police not to be charged because of that belief. So why is it that black people ought to believe police? If you don't believe that we're upstanding, decent citizens, if you believe that all of us are criminals and we all should be shot on sight, then why should I trust police? And I concur. And it's funny, Cliff, because when you think about it, and I always think about the story here in Arkansas where the deputy sheriff was beaten up by two white folks and they stole his vehicle. And in that video, not one time did we ever see him reach for his weapon. Not one time. You understand what I'm saying? And as they drove off, if someone just kicked my tail, it's pretty clear what their intent is. And as they stole my vehicle and drove off, I didn't even take my state-issued revolver out and shoot at the vehicle to try to stop the vehicle. But it makes you wonder what would have happened had there been a black man. We know what happened with Bradley Blackshear right over there on Rodney Parham and Canis. He didn't even know he was in a stolen car. He had borrowed the car. But we saw strong arm tactics. We saw police violate police policy, jump on top of a vehicle and empty his revolver or his 9mm or whatever he used into the chest of Bradley Blackshear while there were people in that car. I'm sorry. I've had enough of this. I understand why those people in Memphis rioted last night. I understand why they were throwing rocks. And I'm telling you, there's going to be more of this happening. Now, you as politicians, if you're sitting here and you're listening to this and you're not trying to preempt what's going on, see, passing new laws is not going to solve this problem. See, here's all you got to do is enforce the ones that are available. When a cop violates the law, look, we're having right now debate of whether or not a president has a right to violate the law. And yesterday I was watching a piece where they said, Kamala Harris said that if she's elected president, even once he's out of office, she's going to pursue criminal charges against him. But that doesn't happen to police. Here's what we're saying now, that police are higher than the president. Donald Trump said he would kill a person in Fifth Avenue and no one would care. We see police killing people every day in America and clearly no one cares. So who really has the power? Is it the president of the United States or is it the police department that are patrolling our streets? Whew. I'm tired of this, man. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of watching this happen over and over again. See, if you want to use the argument, well, he had a gun, he was shooting at police. Well, you know what? Travis Reinking had a gun. And here's the sad thing about it, and I had planned to cover this story the other day. Do you know that the FBI doesn't even consider the KKK terrorists? Last week there was a hearing in Washington, and Ocasio-Cortez was grilling an FBI agent and asking him, what is the difference in white terrorism and any other terrorism? He couldn't define it. He couldn't give an answer as to why white males are not considered terrorists when they commit terrorist acts. And she went on to give him examples of horrendous acts committed by white terrorists, white males. He couldn't answer the question. But you know what they're doing? Did you know that the FBI has opened up file on Black Lives Matter? Did you know that the FBI was instrumental in destroying the Black Panthers when the Black Panthers was not a violent organization? The Black Panthers wanted equality for its people. The Black Panthers, not the comic book hero, but the real civil rights organization, the Black Panthers, the breakfast program that your children have now, the summer feeding program that your children are being fed by now, that was established by, guess who? The Black Panthers. You know the health care that you get? The Black Panthers set up clinics in black communities to make sure black people were seeing doctors. That was done by the Black Panthers. And you know what happened to the Black Panthers? The Black Panthers were destroyed. Many of them were murdered by FBI. Many of them have spent time in jail. Some of them are still in jail. But the Ku Klux Klan is running around this country as if they are some charitable organization. I've had enough. And if I never do another show, I don't care. I am tired of our children being killed. I am tired of having to have a conversation about what you need to do. When are you going to get tired? When are you going to get tired? 855-525-5683. Cliff, you got anything else?
Well, I think just to tie it back to what we were talking about before, just a few days ago, or maybe it was last week, we were talking about the police brutality, the increasing violence, where the danger of people fighting back was kind of almost an inevitable situation. This is kind of another example of that. How you keep targeting the specific black community over and over and over again, and eventually something happens back, and it's like, oh my God, it's a tragedy. How did it happen? Why did it happen? And it's almost as if the media has amnesia when it comes to, violence against black people, but when it happens to cops, it's like, oh my God, they're so surprised.
Well, as I said, this is gonna happen more and more. It's just gonna happen, and it's sad. But y'all aren't getting it because see. Here's why I think they're not getting it. And look, I don't mean to be mean, but y'all aren't getting this simply because you all are looking at black people today as black people in the 60s. And when I say you all, I'm going to say white people. See, those black people, although misguided, and I'll be quick to tell you that I didn't agree with them. When history looks back at what Dr. King and the civil rights struggle did, I don't agree with the way they pursued that. There are a lot of ways that they could have gotten stuff done that they refused. And now we're at this moment because, unfortunately, the Voting Rights Act and the Civil Rights Act, 64 and 65, have to be voted on every so often in Congress. Why? So you still telling me that unless Congress votes for those acts, we still not American citizens? Hello? I can argue about what they did. But what I'm telling you right now is that the children of their children are not going to continue to put up with this. I'm warning you. I'm not trying to incite anyone. I'm talking to my white brothers and sisters right now. I am warning you that if you don't do something about your racism, the racism that is built into your system, this country is going to explode. Because you got a president who is fanning the flames. Black people are not going to take this anymore. What happened in Memphis last night is going to happen more often. It's going to happen a lot. Watch what I tell you. I don't want that to happen. My biggest fear when I heard about the story is that those police were going to train those weapons on those people throwing rocks. I thought that was going to happen. And then they beat Israel. Y'all get that, right? That's what Israel does. See, Israel kills Palestinian teenagers for throwing rocks when they have shields and guns. And then there would be people here in America who would say, well, they shouldn't have been throwing rocks. This is America the free, the home of the brave. You make a mockery of what you try to pretend to be. All right, Cliff. Appreciate you joining me. I'm going to try to calm down a little bit. You have a great day, all right? You want to join the line? Call me at 855-525-5683. Wow. Had some other stuff to talk about. This just bothers me, man. It just bothers me. I don't understand where, look, you know, for you black ministers out there who have your 501c3s and you're afraid to say anything, why don't you just tell your number one deacon to say it? He's not the leader of the church. His name is not on the 501c3. Why don't you create a liaison that can go out and speak for you? They don't speak for your church as long as they don't say, I'm from St. Mark's Baptist Church or St. John's or Bullock Temple or whatever, or ABC Church. I'm just John Brown. Now, people in the audience might know that John Brown attends one of those churches, but so what? But John Brown, the human being, John Brown, the black man, ought to be standing up for his community. See, there's an irony in the fact that I read a quote by Dr. Martin Luther King, is the fact that what was he? Yeah, he was a black man, but he was also a minister. See, it's fascinating to me when people want to quote Dr. King, they want to quote the mamby-pamby easy quotes that make white people feel okay. Dr. King was a radical. For Dr. King to do what he did, he had to be radical. And although I don't agree with how they did it, I appreciate the fact that at least someone did it. Now, where are you, black ministers? Where are you, black leaders? Where are those who claim to be leaders of people, leaders of men and women? Where are you when it comes to standing up against injustice? Where are you when it comes to standing up against racial profiling and police brutality? Where are you? (855-525-5683) is the number. Where were the black ministers for the Central Park Fire? I want to shout out to the students of Columbia University, the law students. I'm going to read this story to you. See, I've told you, here's another example when I say these black kids ain't going. And I'm behind you, young black brothers and sisters. You need a movement. You need someone to advise. You need a older black person to bounce ideas off of. Call me. I'm behind you 100%. You are our future. You will maintain and make sure that my legacy lives in the future. So I must support you. My time is past. I'm 58 years old, and although I still have, I would hope, time to go. But the things that I need to do today, I cannot do them. We need you to do them. And here's an example of what I'm talking about. When they hear us. This time, Columbia University was forced to see and hear members of the Distinguished Black Law Student Association as these future legal lions roared across this prestigious and picturesque Ivy League institution and called for the resignation of Elizabeth Lederer, a lead prosecutor in the Central Park 5 case and a lecturer on their campus. Hello? So you tell me black people don't have power? I know, Brenda, they're not. That's the problem. That's why we need to demand that they do it. Lederer quietly resigned on the afternoon of Wednesday, June 12th. It comes 7 years after the same organization demanded that she resign following the airing of the 2012 documentary, The Central Park 5. That's the one that was done on PBS, which is an excellent documentary. They didn't see us then, but they see us now. More accurately, the brilliant but harrowing Ava DuVernay miniseries, When They See Us, actually did a great deal to make us see them. Boy, that's deep. As in prosecutors Lederer and Linda Fairstein, who stepped on the soles of the Central Park Five 30 years ago to reach enviable heights for themselves in law, literature, and academia. As Lederer tendered her resignation from her position as lecturer in law at Columbia Law School, she exemplified none of the unassailable panache she radiated when she seemed to be at the center of the New York legal universe from 1989 to 1990. I enjoyed my years teaching at CLS and the opportunity it has given me to interact with many fine students who elected to take my classes, Lederer said. However, given the nature of the recent publicity generated by the Netflix portrayal of the Central Park case, it is best for me not to renew my teaching application. Lederer's capitulation to the black law students' demands to vacate the campus comes less than a week after book publisher Dutton excised Fairstein, the prosecutor turned author, from their roster for her role in the ruination of 5 teen adolescents. Lederer along with more visible Fairstein, led the New York County District Attorney's Office case that wrongly sent 5 black and brown teens, Kevin Richardson, say their name, Raymond Santana, say his name, Antron McCray, say his name, Yusuf Salim, say his name, and Corey Wise, say his name, to prison for many years. The black students made it clear in their statement that Lederer's exit was just part of their short-term and long-range goals. While we are pleased with this announcement, we recognize that there is much more work to be done. We hope to work with the administration, faculty, and students to implement mandatory training for all faculty and to ensure more inclusivity into the classroom. The proposed trainings will contribute to a robust learning community for all students at CLS. In other words, because when they see us, they now hear us. I've told you, black people today, our young people ain't going. They not getting on that boat, okay? I taught mine, you don't get on that damn boat. You fight for your life. And if you have to die right there, you fight, but you don't allow racism to ever stop you from doing anything. And then you turn around and help those who can't help themselves. I applaud these students at Columbia. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be emotional today, but I'm tired. I'm tired. I'd love to come into this show and talk about Real Housewives of New Orleans or Atlanta. But you see why this show is so important. I believe in what we're doing. I believe that you need a voice. I understand that no one in this city is talking about this. We have to stop this. We have to end this racism. We have to fight every minute of the day. How much does this affect my health? How much does this affect my disposition? How much does it affect my home life? You know, I tell people all the time, I tell sisters and brothers when they're in relationships, look, if y'all are fighting all the time, here's the one thing about it. That if you work in the white world, you're fighting every day. You're fighting every day, whether it's consciously or subconsciously, because they're watching you. They're waiting till you make a mistake. They're waiting until you stumble and fall so they can pile on and say, see, My white brothers and sisters, I hope you're listening. If you give a damn about me, if you care, if you tell me that you love me, if you're some of those white folks that I'm going to see Saturday night at the class reunion and you tell me that you love me, you know what I'm going to ask you? Have you seen When They See Us? And what are your thoughts? You should be asking your white brothers and sisters, have they seen it? And matter of fact, you all have watch parties for Game of Thrones. You have watch parties for Empire. You have watch parties for all these television programs. Let me make a suggestion to you. Have a watch party for When They See Us. And invite your white friends over. And have a conversation. You see, Lederer and Fairstein are trying to argue that this is not what really happened. Yeah, it is. You lied on those 4 black males, those 5 black males. You lied on them. You lied on them because you wanted to get a conviction. It didn't matter to you whether or not they were guilty or innocent. You saw black skin and you said, them niggas did it and I'm gonna send them away as long as I can. That's what you really said. You didn't bother to do any research. You didn't bother. Even Lederer suggested or had concerns that, wait a minute, the story doesn't add up. But even in your mind, you knew the story didn't add up. But because you were blinded by your innate racism, it didn't matter that those black men were innocent. All you wanted was a conviction. And now you want us to have sympathy for you? I'm reminded of the story of the black man who has spent half his life in prison for a conviction that he never, a crime that he never committed. And they decided to commute his sentence. They decided to commute his sentence because he was dying. Thanks to all of the people that are working on that initiative. And the prosecutor, apparently, who convicted this man, he apparently felt guilty. He wanted to go to this gentleman and apologize. And he did. And you know what I loved about that brother? And I'm sorry I can't remember his name, but you can look up the case. There is a video of that white prosecutor apologizing to this man that he had stolen his life, whose life he had stolen. And the man said, I don't accept your apology. It's kind of like those people who were racially cleansed in Elaine, in Harrison, in Tulsa, in Ocoee, in Pierce City, and all across this country. It's like those people. See, it all ties back to reparations. We don't accept your apology. We just want our checks. 855-525-5683. We're going to take another break. When we come back, I want to take my hats off to Roderick Talley. Not because he's now running for office, but because Roderick Talley has at least put his money where his mouth is. In fact, instead of following that black preacher, you ought to be following Roderick Talley. Hello? Because those same black preachers wouldn't come out and support Roderick Talley. But because of Roderick Talley, the Little Rock Police Department has changed the policy. When was the last time a group of black preachers got a policy changed? I'm back in a moment. It's Black Focus Radio. I'm renewed. I'm refreshed. I'm a black man. I stand for who I am, and I am not ashamed. Back in a moment.
Hey friends, Father's Day is right around the corner, and Coleman's Dynamic Products is offering a dynamic gift just for Dad. Pick 6 for Dad. Any 6 items in my product line. Coleman's Dynamic Rib Rub, Dust, Juice, Nuts, Batter, you name it, all for only $29.95 plus shipping and handling. Upgrade to Pick 10 for only $39.95. Pick 6 for Dad. You must call 615-554-0568 to get this dynamic Father's Day special. Dad and you will be glad you did. Each purchase receives a Coleman's Dynamic downloadable cookbook. We want to say Happy Father's Day for all the great fathers out there. And while you enjoy your day, don't forget to bake it, grill it, smoke it, oh yeah, with Coleman's Dynamic product. Pick 6 or pick 10. You must call 615-554-0568 to get this dynamic Father's Day special.
This is attorney Danielle Walker from the Walker Law Firm. Are you drowning in debt? Is your debt becoming unmanageable? Are you struggling to make ends meet? It might be time to consider bankruptcy options. Call me at 501-374-1448 and let me provide you with the professional legal guidance and help protect you from foreclosure, harassing bill collectors, repossession, wage garnishments, and more. I have a proven record of serving clients just like you for over 20 years. I'm conveniently located downtown Little Rock at 323 Center Street, Suite 1020. Call today for a free, no obligation consultation at 501-374-1448, 501-374-1448, 501-374-1448. This is attorney Danielle Walker from the Walker Law Firm, and let me help you.
Mitchell Funeral Home welcomes all of Arkadelphia and Arkansas in Clark County since 1966. At Mitchell Funeral Home, they understand that the funeral is a celebration of life and legacy, so the entire staff takes great pride in the caring, personal, and professional services they provide. Cremations, funeral planning, burial policy, life insurance, notary, and monument sales are just a few of the services they offer. Flexible packages are available as well. Mitchell Funeral Home appreciates the trust and confidence placed in them and will continue to enhance their services so as to serve you better. Call now. Get connected. 870-246-2611. That's 870-246-2611. Call, click, or come by. MitchellFuneralServices.com. Don't wait till we're needed. Call us now. Let's walk through this today. 870-246-2611. It's quality you can appreciate and service you can depend on at Mitchell Funeral Home.
Fill your home for the holidays with Bedrock Mattress and more.
All right, welcome back to the show. I want to talk a little bit about Roger Talley for the rest of the show. A young man that I've grown to admire and I respect. But before I do that, the story that I was telling you before we went to break is about a man called by the name of Glenn Ford. He spent 30 years behind bars for a murder he did not commit. The former prosecutor, Marty Stroud, he's now calling for an abolishment of the death penalty because, see, Mr. Ford could have been put to death for a murder he couldn't commit. See, this is why I have a problem with white evangelicals. See, you all say you for life, you pro-life, but it's okay with you to put to death someone who hadn't committed a crime. Let me just read a little bit of this and then we'll wrap up the show with Roger Talley. Saying the words, "I apologize," seems so inadequate at times, and this is one of them for attorney A.M. Marty Stroud III. But he feels it must be said to Glenn Ford, the man who spent almost 30 years behind bars for a murder he didn't commit. By the way, I don't need to say this because black people already know. But Mr. Stroud was a white prosecutor. Glenn Ford was a black man. Glenn Ford spent 30 years in prison for a crime he didn't commit. Stroud, 63, was the lead prosecutor in Ford's 1984 murder trial. See, you all are upset about the Central Park 5. But see, this has been going on for decades. Stroud was a white man. The only difference in the Central Park 5 case and this is that there were 5 of them. It's just one here. Even though it was a jury of 12 who unanimously voted to convict Ford on November 5th, 1983, for a shooting death in Shreveport, Louisiana, one he now admits was flawed with inaction on his part, and coupled with the admitted arrogant, judgmental, narcissistic, and very full of myself attitude as the attorney he was then. In perhaps an unprecedented move by a former prosecutor, Stroud is offering a public apology to Ford in a 3-page letter. The Shreveport Times, in response to the newspaper's coverage of Ford's plight. In a separate interview Thursday, a contrite and agonizing Stroud still displayed the struggles of a man coming to grips with the decisions made 3 decades ago. I view it as a stain on me. It's still there. Now let me stop there. Because see, Mr. Ford, I believe, is dead now. And Mr. Ford refused to accept his apology. But here's the point. And when you juxtapose what happened with the Central Park 5 and what Lederer is saying and what Fairstein is saying, because we know for a fact that you convicted people who were innocent, and you still want to run around and pretend like you some holy and thou. You still want to run around and think that you are deserving of sympathy? If you were in front of me right now, I'd slap you. And I'd slap you again. I understand why the people in Memphis are rioting. Those riots are the voice of the unheard. Now let me get to Roderick Talley. I met Roderick Talley, I guess it was a little over a year ago. I saw the explosion that took place at an apartment. I saw how police raided his apartment. I saw how they treated them. And even when I saw the video and I didn't know this young man, I said, damn, that is so wrong. I reached out to Roderick Talley. In fact, I believe, and Roderick might be able to agree, that I was the first of the media locally to reach out to him and get an interview. We had him on this show. He told this story. And throughout that whole process, it seemed like Roderick was constantly getting in trouble. It was pretty clear that the police in the state of Arkansas had the hots for Roderick Talley for whatever reasons. But Roderick raised hell about no-knock warrants and what they were doing. And and Roderick just didn't raise hell. Roderick did his research. This is why I tell you all, do your research, folks. The police didn't like the fact that Roderick Talley was exposing the illegalities that they were, the constitutional violations that they were committing on a regular basis for black people in the city of Little Rock. And here's the other thing. There were no black leaders who would even get behind Roderick Talley that I could see. In fact, there were no black leaders because I'm sure there were some black preachers who had parishioners who had went to them and told them what police had done to them. I know they had. In 2000, listen to this. Listen to this. The national spotlight has been on Arkansas Capital City over controversial no-knock warrants, and this is coming from Fox 16. New Police Chief Keith Humphrey announced Wednesday he is implementing a no-knock warrant search policy, something that wasn't in place beforehand. That includes a threat assessment. Now, let me stop right there. The reason that is being implemented, let me read that again, because I know what y'all are saying. David don't know what the hell he's talking about. But y'all know, if you listen to this show, I do my research. Let me read this again. New police chief Keith Humphrey announced Wednesday he is implementing a no-knock search warrant policy, something that wasn't in place beforehand. That means before this new chief came into being, even before we got Frank Scott as the new mayor, this policy didn't exist. Under Mark Stoller, you black people out there who love you some Mark Stoller, this policy didn't exist. How many rights did they violate? And if it wasn't for Roderick Talley saying, again, a millennial saying, I ain't going like that, where would we be here in Little Rock today? Each one stands on its merit, okay? Now, what he's talking about is the threat assessment. Now, I'm looking at this threat assessment, okay? And we're going to go through this a little bit more tomorrow. In fact, I'm going to reach out to Roderick because I don't know that Roderick is doing a happy dance, but he ought to be. He ought to be. I'm going to ask him, and he may not tell me, but I want to know what type of political support he got from his politicians. I want to know what type of religious support he got from ministers. Because during the times that I saw Roderick on TV, it wasn't many people behind him. But I got to stand up for Frank Scott Jr., who didn't have a problem taking a picture with Roderick Talley, and the FOP. And see, that's the other thing. This new policy says the FOP of Little Rock Police Department was out of line. So here's a threat assessment. Homicide, a known to use or propensity for violence. There are 5 categories: homicide, armed robbery, assault, resisting arrest, assault on a police officer. And it goes through A through G, and there's other. And I'm only reading from a piece that I'm seeing, and I'm going to have to go out and download this threat assessment. But I'm looking at something. I'm looking at item G. And here's the one thing that's curious about this that we need to address. And I haven't seen the full threat assessment. Is the suspect historically or currently associated with an organization which is known or suspected of violent criminal activity? Now, the 5 that I can see on this picture that is posted on Twitter are terrorists, religious extremists, gangs, or sovereign citizens. Now, let me ask you a question. Where's the KKK? Can you give us a breakdown on who those terrorists are? Does that include the KKK? Does that include the skinheads? Does that include the whoever else, these smart boys or new boys or whatever they call themselves? I'm just wondering. Because if they are not included as terrorist organizations, then this is a faulty document. It's a faulty document. Hello? But you know, I got to take my hat off to Roderick Talley. Because, you know, if it wasn't for Roderick Talley, the Little Rock Police Department would be doing business as usual. You know, the FOP tried to label him a convicted felon when he had never been convicted of a felony. This is the Little Rock FOP who did this. This is the Little Rock FOP who has condoned police in Little Rock violating civil rights. And what this change in policy says to me, it may not say to you, but what it says to me is that the Little Rock Police Department, up until they got this new police chief and Little Rock got a new mayor, that it was okay to violate the civil rights of citizens of Little Rock. In changing the policy, up until this policy was recently changed, the Little Rock Police Department, the FOP, were saying it's okay to violate the civil rights of people of Little Rock. But thanks to Roderick Talley, a millennial, who said, we ain't going, this policy has been changed. I looked through this article by Fox 16, and let me just scroll down. It's kind of sad, and here's again. This is what I mean about media here in this city. Okay? Here's a significant policy that was made national attention. Okay, I see the full threat assessment. So here it is right here. In item G, it says, is the suspect currently or historically associated with organization which is known or suspected of violent criminal activity? It says terrorist, religious extremist, gang, sovereign citizen. Well, we know what a sovereign citizen is, okay? That's basically people who don't accept the laws of the United States, okay? Most of those are white folks, all right? They are violent. Gangs. We have an idea of what gangs are, okay? We know what gangs are. Crips, Bloods, Gangster Disciples, MS-19, you name it. The Mafia, the Republican Party, oh, I'm sorry. Religious extremist. That's kind of nebulous. What's a religious extremist? And then number two, I don't know what number one is. It says terrorist. Does that mean Muslim terrorist? Does that mean white terrorist? I'm curious. But I got to take my hats off to Roderick Talley. Roderick Talley is running, I believe, for, was it Section 36 of District 36 for a state representative? You know, I've heard people say, well, you know, we really don't want people running who don't really know the process. You know, I'm sure they said that about Ocasio-Cortez. But in my opinion, this is not an endorsement. The 36th Ward, thank you, Jackie. In my opinion, who else ought to be running except Roderick Talley? This brother has put in work. This brother has put in work not just for himself, but this brother has put in work. Look, not only was he helping himself, but he went out and got other people who had been subjugated by the Little Rock Police Department and said, hey, look, let's join forces. You tell me this brother don't need to be elected to office? I don't know. But if he doesn't, who the hell does? I'm just saying, baby. Come on. We're going to get more into this tomorrow. I'm going to go through this assessment. I need to know what terrorist means. What are the specifics? Because is that a quick way to keep from mentioning the KKK? Is that a quick way? Is that what you're doing, folks? You know what? That dog ain't gonna hunt. I gotta go. It's been an emotional show for me. I don't know what y'all think, but I was kind of in tears. Y'all didn't see it, but I was fighting to hold back because I'm tired. And I think I have to, leaving the show today, I'm going to leave again with a quote from Dr. King. In fact, I'm going to read the full quote that in this interview by Mike Wallace. Here's Dr. King. He says, I think America must see that riots do not develop out of thin air. Certain conditions continue to exist in our society which must be condemned as vigorously as we condemn riots. But in the final analysis, a riot is the language of the unheard. And what is it that America has failed to hear? It has failed to hear that the plight of the Negro poor has worsened over the last few years. It has failed to hear that the promises of freedom and justice have not been met. It has failed to hear that large segments of white society are more concerned about tranquility and the status quo than about justice, equality, and humanity. And so, in a real sense of our nation's summers of riots are caused by our nation's winters of delay. And as long as America postpones justice, we stand in the position of having these recurrences of violence and riots over and over again. Social justice and progress are the absolute guarantors of riot prevention. I wish you peace, my black brothers and sisters.
You've been listening to Black Focus, where we discuss our issues with our solutions and our voices. Join us every weekday afternoon at 1 p.m. on Joint Radio.
Thank you all for joining me. Peace be unto you. I wish you peace.